a contract.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a, and that's the big thing that state emergency management pushes, is having MOUs on hand. So that's one thing I thought would be beneficial for Chief Spain or one of his alternates, assistant chief, to be there. So more to come.
All right, okay, thank you. All right, unfinished business. Discussion of parties at the parks and permit needed. Y'all had a copy of the rough draft of the permit. Last meeting it was talking about, a $1 fee, let a deposit. Let's open it up for discussion.
I don't think we can actually charge a fee for using a city park if you live within the city. Now, the deposit, on the other hand, is a different story. We just gotta figure out how we would set parameters for the amount of the deposit, according to how many occupants are going to be involved.
I think too, deposit, if the, or even a small fee, I've seen sometimes when the park's been used like that and trash cans are overflowing, and that means park workers have to go down there and clean up after someone. So knowing that there's gonna be a group there might push them to put extra barrels out for trash.
Mr. McVeigh, how does that work as far as charging for a permit to use a city park? Or, it's a public park.
You can if you want to.
You can't, yeah, okay.
Yes.
I was not sure how that actually
Yes,
works
you can.
from a legal standpoint.
Same as charging a fee to swim in the pool. Same reason.
Well, as far as the parameters is how many people versus the amount on the deposit, I think that would probably be the biggest issue, because I think we could all agree that we don't want the fee to, be very much as far as, for the use of the park. Now, the deposit, on the other hand, a few people can cause a lot of money's worth of damage very quickly.
I can say that I drove past Willoughby after and compared to the last event they had out there a month or so ago, there was a big difference in trash pickup. That this time, somebody got out there and did a fairly decent job at picking up, where last time there was a lot of cups and styrofoam and things that had been blown around. So it's like the cleanup wise from this weekend's event was definitely different from the one a month or so ago.
Well, good. Chief, how many people would you say were out there last weekend? Ballpark figure.
400 to 500. It may be about, I'm gonna say about 400.
100.
Yeah.
We'll make sure I heard that correctly.
On our signatures, we're having police sign off on chief of police and the fire chief as well. How are we handling notification to the park employees, park board? Are we dealing with that at all?
That would definitely need to fall in line on there.
But I hate to have so many signatures, it takes forever to get it done,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I don't know how we would go about doing that.
Does anybody have any kind of idea as what it would cost to clean up after, just say, 200 people? Nobody threw anything away. The cost of the cleanup. Any ideas?
That'd be a good park department question.
Yeah.
What?
That'd be a good park department question.
Yeah.
So,
It's kind of the key to it is all we're trying to do here is cover cost. We're not trying to,
It's not
and
profit.
make people aware. It's no way no way do we want to make a profit.
No.
But we want to cover cost if needed. If their deposit, if they don't trash it out, then their deposit's returned, and that's fine.
okay.
I don't really think we have enough information.
Okay.
I don't, personally, I do not believe that we have enough information to set the dollar amounts and set the parameters on this at this point.
Okay, well, we can get with the Parks Department
I think that'd be a
and
good idea.
talk with them, and so
Motion to
take that.
put this on hold, to table it for now.
Okay.
I'll second it.
All in favor of tabling this?
Aye.
Okay. Okay. There's been a request for the chamber renovations.
Where do we get that in the budget?
I was gonna say, I would
The
call.
money's there if we wanna do it.
You estimate $50,000 for that?
We can take it out of beautification, or it can be a capital improvement.
Do we have that? Yes, that hasn't been addressed for quite a few years, I'm sure.
I mean, there's a lot of things that I could see going on with, we do have a letter from Myrna saying that they would like to see City Hall moved away from police department and dispatch moved to separate locations. It's,
If we move forward with this, this would not affect being able to do that either, would it?
no, but it's, if,
No, that's totally different.
yeah,
Well, I was curious. I want to make sure that if we spent this, then we still, we had, if we made plans to move City Hall, it was still going to be a possibility.
so there's a lot of, just a lot of, I guess, from my aspect, I would say a lot of different aspects that we're looking at. Would it be a good idea to combine the two, add on to that building and make it bigger? Have chamber on one side, city council on the other, or put city council in a completely different location? There's,
Who owns the property?
property is owned by,
Property's owned by the American Legion.
Then they
We
say
own the building.
we own the building, right?
Yeah.
So we'd have to get with the American Legion and ask them if they allow.
We should also ask with.
Not for their
Chamber.
renovation, but maybe
No,
if you wanna add on, maybe you would.
Yeah, if you want to look
Ms.
at.
Gomes, do you have thoughts on this?
We need to have a formal discussion with the board, and we also are in a 100-year lease agreement with the American Legion for that property at this
Yeah.
time, that would interfere with that.
so,
Where did the 50,000 figure come up from?
That was just estimate based on board members' current renovations at their current facilities. That would be basic flooring, painting, and drywalling updates to the facility.
But we have no estimates according to that building in writing yet?
We do not, no,
No.
no. It has not been updated since it was built in 1986.
How about if we get some bids and go from there?
Yes, that would be appropriate.
That's what I would like
I
to see
say
as
we need
well.
to check more into it before we approve any amount tonight.
Understood.
Yeah.
I would get some bids and see if we can do it as it goes along.
Yeah, we'll have a little more time to see what else is going on at the same time.
Right, our request was not urgent, we just submitted at the sales tax hearing, so hopefully that could fit into the fiscal year
Okay.
budget.
Okay, good.
all right, so we'll table that for now too as well.
Yep.
Make motion to table.
We got a motion?
I'll second it.
Second. All involved? All approved?
Aye.
Yes.
Table that one. All right, under new business, revisiting the 2020 decision to move unused budget monies into reserve accounts. As we looked and see, it's a good idea, but
I wasn't here when you guys voted on that, but I don't think it's a good idea, because we're earmarking money that we can be using for needs that we have now, instead of putting it on reserve and earmarking it for each department's use. That's my opinion. I'll make a motion, we don't do it that way.
we reversed that decision.
But if the department manager's, the opposing view of that, if the department manager's good at their budget, then there may be some left over that they have earned for us, but I understand what.
I understand that, but on the other hand, if they inflate their numbers in the beginning of the budget year, thinking that, okay, we don't need this, but we're gonna put this number down at the end of the year, they're gonna have earmarked money that another department might be in a desperate need to use.
My promise, my departments would never.
Well, and I'm not saying that's what's gonna happen. It's gonna keep our job easier, Leslie's job easier, the bookkeeping, and we wanna have 31 different accounts like we had in the past when we had those reserve accounts.
One recommendation, I would, not to do the whole budget, but like when you guys decided to do it with the generator, because the street department knew that they were going to be purchasing a generator a couple of years down the road, and it was a $2,000 line item. Certain line items that you know that you're going to need coming up could be requested, but just not the whole
Yeah.
entirety of leftover budget, because you know you're gonna need the generator. You just weren't able to purchase it within that fiscal year because of,
Well, yeah, it's-
Well, I'll use an example, and I talked to Steve earlier. I'd be for, under the new equipment, you kinda held back on spending, and the fire department had $31,000 left, and they were asking for air packs. So, you know, under that line item is for new equipment. Kind of what Leslie was saying, is transfer that over to the next year so that they can get that item that they need.
Correct, but
Not the whole
sometimes they
budget.
put the money in the reserve and then they also budget for the next year, so you have money earmarked over here on the side, and then you have to deal with the same item over and over.
That or we transfer it over to their new equipment line in the next budget.
Can we move it to capital, Terry, is it possible to move that to capital expense?
Move
Keep it-
what?
Move the leftover money to capital expense, and then that way it has to come to the council, we have to vote on it.
Well, I mean, yeah, anything you wanna put in.
Yeah, for the leftover money, we still have to allocate the money from the following budget year, so we can,
We know where it's coming
yeah,
from.
oh yeah. It's
So
gonna be
that's
in one reserve
Mhm.
rather than each department's reserve.
Right, I'm agreeing with that.
And we'll have a meeting how to allocate of that reserve.
I'll
Good.
second Steve's motion on that.
All right, so we have a first and a second
What was the motion?
to reverse the decision of putting the extra money into the reserve account. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, next we need to discuss the city liquor license mirroring the state license expiration date and fees. Understand we've got they're with having a difference. Some people are running, you know, expires temporary.
Temporary license under the state, and then they come to the city and they get a
yearly
full
day.
year's license through the city, but
For 90 days and operate the rest of the year.
some of them are 30 days.
Yeah.
But they still have, if the state license, temporary license expires in 30 days, they still have to renew that.
Correct,
Or-
but
or
some of them
operate.
don't, and they operate under our license, the city license.
No, they have to have the state license.
That's why we're trying to do this, to mirror image. If the
They
state's
have to-
expires, then ours will have to expire too at the same date. Or if somebody presents a temporary and it has an expiration date, we don't need to give them a full year's, we just give them to match the
We
date.
can charge for the full year,
Do it.
but we can charge for the full year.
And then can they still legally sell alcohol?
No,
No.
Well, that's the problem that,
they still have to have a state license though, to sell alcohol.
How do we know when that 30, 60, or 90-day permit ends? Does the state notify us?
no,
Could we make them present that when they come to get the city license?
say that.
Could we make them present that when they come to get their city
They
license?
do, it's in effect for 30 days, and then we give them one that's
It's a year.
good for a year.
Probably what we need to do is make note of that, pass it off to the fire marshal or the police department so they can go back and check in the 30, 60, or 90 days.
That's a good spot on
There
that.
needs to be something there where there's a check.
Just go back in and check.
We could put a line on the application form that says when the state law expires.
Sure. That's great.
And then we
Yeah,
know when it
that's
expires.
all we're
And
asking.
then
to put it-
just go back in and check if they have a state license.
That way everybody's on the same level playing field.
But that way, we're not charging different fees for different. That way, we can charge a full year's fee, right, up front.
And then whenever theirs expires,
When the state expires, then ours would expire at the same time?
No, our license is still good.
Still good.
But they have to have the state license, we just go back and check it.
yeah, they just have to renew
We
it.
make a note of when the state license expires and go back and check it.
We should have a way to revoke it if the state's,
No, they can't operate in the city, we don't have to
Yeah.
revoke it.
No
They're,
problem.
they're already operating illegally, we just stop them.
Well, there's a county involved too. Some businesses don't get the county either.
That's the county.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. All right, so we can change the, make sure that the liquor license application shows the expiration date of the state, And then, who is our investigator right now for when that happens?
Dennis.
Fire marshal. So,
Dennis Hamlin.
make sure that, Dennis Hamlin gets the, notification that, hey, this license expires on this date. And so he can go in and check and make sure that they've, got a renewal. Okay.
If they don't have it renewed, what happens?
Get shut down, don't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, we should be able to revoke the city.
But we can revoke the city, or we can just shut them down because they're operating illegally.
Okay. All right. Does that work? Okay. All right. All right.
Yeah, motion in a second on that?
Do we need to- Well,
Oh.
we don't need to. All right. There we go. Mayor's report. Got a notification, and I think it'd be something for, good for the city to maybe embark on. The Missouri is doing a bicentennial time capsule project. St. Louis Ambassadors, the State Historical Society are partnering together to create a Missouri bicentennial time capsule. Your item should not measure any larger than 8.5 by 14 inches and no larger than a legal sized piece of paper and 1/4 inch thick. This has to be presented to Columbia, the State Historical Society, by August 10th and 2021, and it will be sealed August 27th, 2021, and then opened August 10th, 2046. So, so we've got a month to come up with something from the city of Kennett. What would we like to see, if anything? It's that, what would the city of Kennett like to see in a time capsule that stays sealed up till August 10th, 2046? And if this is something we'd like to do. Throwing it out there. Anybody got any suggestions, next city council? I don't know if we can get Mr. Malott in that size of the container yet.
No.
Yeah, cotton balls and peanuts.
Peanuts.
So,
Watermelon.
but on their website, you can go to type in Missouri Time Capsule, and you can see what some of the other, there's a few cities that have, League of Women Voters, Metro, gave some of their historical patches that they've had over the years. Jackson County gave a few notifications. So go to their website, take a look at it, and if you've got an idea, bring it up to the next city council, and if it sounds good, we'll send it off and try and get something from the city of Kennett, whether it's for the time capsule. I just thought it'd be something neat and interesting to look at. Talked with Mr. Terry here earlier. The flower beds out at the hospital, whether you had some prom pictures taken out there or a certain rose bush was planted for a family member, the mow crew is going out mowing around everything, but there's some pretty nice rose bushes. I have no idea what they're all called because I can kill a plastic plant pretty good. But if you would like one of those rose bush, flower bush, the ones that make little snowball type things, there's a plant out there you'd like, go get it. Our mow crew, we're going to give them here in a week or so. Just tell them to mow it down because we're not green thumb people. Taking care of the flower beds out there, but there may be something that you worked out there for 30 years and you were there whenever they planted this, what was that tree called, Miss Lisa? All those bushes that were on the side. Crepe myrtles. So there's a nice crepe myrtle, you've got a perfect spot for it. Well, go dig it up and take it home. Because, more than likely here in a couple of weeks, they're going to be a lot smaller than what they are right now. But again, it's, you don't want to put me in charge of making something green like that grow because I'll kill it. But yeah, so once the hospital is built out there, more than likely, those aren't gonna be the flower beds that they use.
No.
So, if there's something sentimental to it out there for it, we'll take it. All right. Let's see. Got that. Last week, I hope a lot of you saw, I know the DDD came out and did a newspaper article on the end of watch. It was humbling to see how many officers were listed on that end of watch trailer, and to see one of our own, Officer Rick Rose. That it was nice to see everyone that were able to come out for it, and great to have that representation that was here. If you missed it, there was a good article wrote up about it, but you can also look at the end of watch website as well. From the fireworks standpoint, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of discussion, whether it's tonight and over the next few weeks. A big part of it is parental involvement. Kids aren't allowed to buy fireworks until they're 16 years of age. They need parental supervision and follow. Like this one child who had one blow up in his hand. He was using it improperly. That comes down to supervision. But again, do we look at in the future shortening the time of sales? Do we lengthen the time that they can shoot them? So these are all questions that we can look at in the near future of what to do. And that will actually go into my next little segment of involvement. That, you've always heard the saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it takes the entire village and community to keep a town safe. Being involved in things that go on in your neighborhood, making a report of it to the police department is something that every community, every neighborhood, subdivision needs. Here just 2 weeks ago, I was summoned to court on a peace disturbance that happened out in front of my house. I signed a complaint for it, and it was interesting to watch the gentlemen's faces as I walked down the hallway, because they're like, okay, yes, I not only signed the complaint, I showed up to court. That quickly went from what was probably going to be some sort of a trial to they pled guilty and got a lesser sentence of whatever happened to them. But I didn't even have to go into the court aspect. But, I got involved because our police officers, we have 20 plus officers. They are here 365 days a week, 24 hours a day. They can't be anywhere and everywhere. It's going to take somebody. I signed a complaint the other day on a side-by-side. 13-year-old child driving it down the road. That it's